Dawn breaks over a rugged, ancient land. The wind whispers across the grasslands. Stone, fire, silence, and then movement. From the mouth of a limestone cave, a small group of humans emerges. They carry no clocks, no written schedules, only instincts, traditions, and the wisdom passed down through countless generations. Some scan the horizon for movement, deer, mammoth, predators, or opportunity. Others crouch beside yesterday's fire, stirring the embers back to life. Because here, fire is everything: warmth, protection, light, memory. Their day has already begun, but have you ever wondered, what did our Paleolithic ancestors actually do all day? We often imagine cavemen as brutes, grunting, violent, wild, dragging women by the hair, clubbing beasts over the head. That image, it's fantasy, a story told by people who never looked closely. In truth, these early humans were not primitive. They were practical, inventive, curious, and most of all, deeply connected to the world around them. They lived during what we call the Paleolithic era, a time that stretched from about 2.6 million years ago to 12,000 years ago. That's not just history, that's almost the entire history of our species. And yet we know so little about how they truly lived. Let's go back, not to kings or empires, but to the roots of being human. The day began with the sun, its first light creeping over mountains, rivers, plains. There were no alarms, only the rhythm of light and life. The fire, carefully kept smoldering overnight, would be reignited. Starting a fire from scratch took time, effort, and precious skill. So they tended it like a living thing, feeding it dry grass, bark, and memory. Water was fetched from nearby streams, carried in animal bladders or bark bowls. Children might help, learning by watching, copying the motions of their elders. Every task was a lesson, every moment a thread in the great weaving of survival. Each day brought questions. Is there enough food? Are tools sharp? Has the herd returned? Are we safe? These weren't chores. They were lifelines. To hunt, to gather, to mend, to prepare for a winter that never made promises. Hunting wasn't constant violence. It was patience, tracking, reading prints in the mud, listening to bird calls, sniffing the wind. It was teamwork, precision, and deep knowledge of animal behavior. And not only men hunted, women too chased small game, climbed trees for eggs, and used throwing sticks and slings. The roles weren't fixed, they were flexible, because survival didn't care about tradition, it cared about results. While some hunted, others gathered roots, nuts, tubers, wild greens, a living pharmacy and pantry, but only if you knew what to pick and when. One wrong berry could mean death. One right herb could mean healing. Knowledge wasn't written, it was lived, spoken, remembered. And then there were the tools. Crafting wasn't a side job, it was a daily act of genius, shaping stone into blades, scrapers and awls, sharpening, shaping, testing, not just randomly, but with technique passed down across generations. Wood, bone, antler, sinew, each chosen for its unique strength and purpose. And if a hunter returned with game, butchery began, skinning, cutting, cleaning, preserving meat with smoke or cold, bones saved for tools, nothing wasted. By midday, the sun might beat down, time to rest, to repair, to cook, to laugh. Yes, they laughed, joked, teased, told stories. We know this not from fossils, but because humans always have. As daylight faded, people returned to camp, gathering around the fire once more, the circle of warmth, light, and life. This was the heart of their world. Here, they shared food, told stories of the hunt, planned tomorrow's paths, sang songs, carved bone, painted walls. In dark corners of caves, they mixed ochre with fat and painted their visions. Herds running across the stone, spirits merging with animals, handprints pressed like echoes of identity. Why? To teach, to remember, to believe. This was the birthplace of myth, of meaning, of art. And sometimes, music filled the cave. Bone flutes, percussion from logs or stone, voices rising in harmony with wind and flame. And when someone was sick, they were cared for. We know this because skeletons show signs of healing, fractures mended, wounds survived. These people didn't just survive, they supported one another, they loved, they mourned, they buried their dead, sometimes with tools or ochre, gifts for a journey we still don't understand. And through it all, they learned. Not from books, but from nature, from each other, from trial and error. They watched how fire spread, how seeds grew, how stars moved overhead. And bit by bit, they began managing their environment, burning grasslands to attract prey, following plant cycles, fishing with traps and nets, not just reacting, but planning. So what did Paleolithic humans do all day? They lived fully, with grit, grace, and deep intelligence. They didn't conquer nature, they belonged to it. They didn't build monuments, but they built memory, etched in stone, sung in voice, passed from hand to hand, generation to generation. They hunted and gathered, they raised children and healed the sick, they built shelters, they carved tools, they created music, they told stories, and they left behind traces, not just of survival, but of soul. So, the next time you hear the word caveman, don't think of a brute, think of a botanist, a survivalist, an artist, a scientist, a parent, a pioneer, a human, just like you.